I hope the slides are visible to all of
Yes,
you.
yes,
Okay.
yes, 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 Professor. Please go
Okay.
ahead.
So like the title. So when I received the invitation from Dr. Satish, then I tried to modulate my title of the talk according to your content of this STTP. So there was a course module which basically says in silico enzyme ligand interaction or binding in your course schedule. So this is what basically we do when we try to discover a lead molecule or an inhibitor, when we try to discover a drug candidate molecule. So so as my title says, in silico based inhibitor design approaches leading to drug discovery against infectious diseases. So basically, my experience during my PhD and postdoc, I worked on many drug targets from Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and later on also we have continued uh, uh, when I become faculty, independent faculty, then faculty member, then also I continued the same. So let's come to the what are infectious diseases? Basically, infectious diseases means any human or animal disease could be either infectious disease or metabolic disease. It could be, है ना? So infectious diseases are the diseases which are basically caused by any microbial infection. So it could be means any foreign microbial particle or cells like virus, bacteria, fungi, protozoan, and worms. So these all are means virus, bacteria, or any parasite or fungi which comes from outside and then cause disease in the body of humans and animals. You know? So they must so their way of pathology is that they spread from one person to another person, or from animal to person, or from persons to animals. So from people to animal, or from animal to people, or among the people. So but the other kind of diseases which are we know, like metabolic diseases, they are because of improper functioning of some component of body itself, like cardiovascular problems, like diabetes, like other problems of other organs, like kidney diseases, etc., etc. No? So uh, means infectious diseases are basically becomes very dangerous because they spread, so they cause epidemic. And nowadays we are basically whole world is facing the menace of infectious one of the infectious virus. This is SARS coronavirus. So I will also show some more things about coronavirus also in during the lecture, while covering the topic which we are focused on. Okay, so uh, we will in this talk we will not talk about how drug discovery can be done against metabolic diseases, but we will focus on how we do drug discovery against infectious disease. Okay, so in this, basically what we do, you can see there is timeline. If you can see my cursor, there is a long timeline. Like you see, there are steps: identify the disease, then isolate particular protein which is involved in that disease, and then find a effective drug candidate molecule, and then test that molecule in animal models, and when you see there is efficacy, then basically formulate it, and then ultimately you do human efficacy and safety trials. There are two types of trials, so we will talk about it more. So but when we talk about drug discovery against any infection, basically if we talk in simple terms, then about what we discover, how we discover drug. Basically a drug molecule will be one which should either interact with the biological component of microbial pathogen or with the human component. Which human component? That human component which is used by pathogen for causing the symptoms of the disease or causing the disease basically. So we can either block. So first strategy is we should block the biological component of microbial pathogen. Means microbial pathogen means what? This virus, bacteria, or fungus or worm, like I said before. So and another secondary strategy could be, but that is not very intelligent because we are targeting human part. So it means it may cause more side effects. So it's very clear. So if you will have questions, then you can ask, and you can ask later also in the end. I don't know what you are following. So basically drug discovery process, like here we have seen. Another thing is what kind of technologies we use during this very long drug discovery process. So like first thing is identify the target. So first thing is identify the target. So target is what? Target is that biological component either from the pathogen, microbial pathogen, or from the human host or animal host which is involved in this disease. So there are means by now it is a lot of people have done a lot of work. So in all modern biology or modern biomedical sciences, there is a lot of advances happened already. So by doing genomics or proteomics or bioinformatics or gene expression analysis or protein expression analysis, differential methods, means they try to see how they identify the target. So they try to see in a disease model which proteins or which genes are more active than in the normal organism. So by this, either in animal model or either in humans, we can basically, there are techniques we can do large scale analysis, like doing genomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, bioinformatics, metabolomics. A lot of biological experiments can be done. So one thing here I want to say about drug targets. So drug targets should best, what are best drug targets? So best drug targets will be those targets which are absent in the host. Means those proteins which are, or like those proteins which are only present in microbial pathogen, and those are absent in. So by doing these techniques which I described in target identification, one can basically identify those genes also, because you can see which genes are not present by doing this genomics. If we do a subtractive genomics, we see some gene which encode a protein which is involved in the disease causing thing. That gene is absent in human being. So what advantage you will get? Basically, if you block that gene of pathogen, microbial pathogen, that is not present in human. So you will not get any side effects if your drug is very specific to that protein, which is a microbial pathogens protein, and that protein is not, that gene is not present in human host, so it will not cross react, so it will not block any human thing, है ना, or animal thing, if we are designing a drug against for animal disease. So same thing. So other thing, it either it don't express or it is not present, means either the gene is itself is not present in human, or gene don't express in disease condition, or if the similar gene is there but the binding pocket where this drug will bind, that pocket is absent in that protein which is present in human host, something like that. So then we do, so this is part of, this is all part of target identification, and then we come to target validation. So how you can validate a target? So like here 1-2 techniques are given, like gene knockout, inhibition assay. So these things we can do. First try to do computationally, like inhibition assay we can do computationally, I will tell you. And gene knockout means if we delete that gene from the microbial pathogen, then microbial pathogen is not surviving. It means that gene should be essential for that microbial pathogen. So by this we will know that it is essential for the microbial pathogen, and when from that same gene protein will be formed, and we will block that protein. If we will block then that protein, and then there will be block of that activity. So after that there is a lead identification thing. So now here we come to the point of probable drug candidates. So we do high throughput screening. High throughput screening means we take large number of drug-like molecules, and we try to do binding assays with the protein, and that particular protein which we have identified as a target in previous step, है ना? So this step will ensure that which probable candidate molecule can act as a drug. So similar, there are more advanced methods like fragment based drug screening and combinatorial libraries. So we use libraries of several molecules. So it can lead to millions of molecules, small molecules, which basically we try to screen against a particular target. Then there is a method, and there is a step which is called lead optimization. And for lead optimization we do a lot of experiments like medicinal chemistry driven optimization, X-ray crystallography, QSAR, ADMET profiling. So these all we will discuss in step by step. And like X-ray crystallography, we can determine the molecular structure of that particular target, and then we can do biochemical experiments, or in X-ray crystallography is determined structures. We can also determine the structure of protein ligand complex. There we can study what kind of molecular interactions are going on between the protein and the ligand. Then there is a next step is preclinical phase where we do pharmacodynamics, pharmacokinetics, and ADMET analysis and toxicity testing in animals. Means preclinical there where we try where we do drug trial in animal models, and there all these things are done. And then there is a clinical phase where we do human trials. And human trials, there are two parts. One is efficacy testing and another is toxicity testing basically. So both are important, because if we will do, means efficacy means we are testing whether it is able to, whatever our preliminary data suggested till preclinical trial, that drug is effective against the particular disease. Then when we do efficacy trial, then it is a double blind trial where half of the people will get placebo and half of the people will get real drug. And then in the end of the trial, we see whether drug is able to cure the disease with statistically significant amount. And then in the toxicity testing, we see whether there is some after taking the drug during the trial, it should not harm the human body normal function. So this is the whole pipeline, how drug discovery works. And like how we approach to the rationally to the drug discovery is, we basically identify the target, and then we the gene of particular target which we have identified, like I have shown in previous slides. We clone the genes, then we express the target, means we produce that gene's product, that protein in huge amount, and then we basically do structure determination. Or if a structure is not available, then we do homology modeling, and we make a structural three-dimensional structural model, atomic model of that particular target. And then we identify lead compounds. We can do it computationally, and further we can validate it by experiments. And if that compound is not available, then we try to synthesize that molecule, because ultimately we need that in physical form, so that we can test whether it can bind to that target, and then we can use the same target for toxicity testing in animals and preclinical trials, and then later on we can try that in humans, like I have talked before. So, and both efficacy testing and then toxicity testing. So again, so same thing is there. Drug target, what could be the drug target? So either it could be microbial pathogen component or host component, but these targets should be on the interface of host and microbial pathogen. Means when the microbial pathogen infects, basically that biological component should be involved, and we that's why we call it should be at the interface of host and the pathogen. Means whatever host pathogen interaction is going on, basically that is that host pathogen interaction we see in the form of symptoms, like we have influenza or we have this coronavirus infection. So the symptom is because of that host pathogen interaction only. Means that virus, how it interacts with our body, our human cells, our human tissues, that is translated as the symptoms according to physiology of the host, according to physiology of that host body. Okay, so if we talk about targets of like I already talked about that what are infectious agents. So like one is bacteria, another is virus, then fungus, then parasites, parasitic worms. So these all are basically microbial pathogens. So if we talk about in bacteria, let's have a feel. What kind of things could be the target of act as drug target in bacteria? So whatever basically whatever drugs have been discovered, like in bacteria, many famous drugs which targets cell wall components. So bacteria have cell wall, and these cell wall components like beta lactam molecules. We know that beta lactam molecules like penicillin, cephalosporin, monobactams, carbapenems, these all targets bacterial cell wall. Then there are other class of compound like glycopeptides. These are peptides in chemical nature, like vancomycin. This is a very famous compound. Then there is another class of compound, bacitracin. So similarly, like there are compounds which target plasma membrane. There are other compounds which target ribosomes. Then there is a lot of compounds which targets metabolic pathways. So like folic acid synthesis targeted by sulfonamides, sulfones, and trimethoprim. Mycolic acid synthesis is targeted by isoniazid. So these all are famous antibiotics. And similarly, DNA synthesis machinery is targeted by fluoroquinolones compounds like ciprofloxacin, levofloxacin, moxifloxacin. These all are famous antibiotics. Then there is RNA synthesis. RNA polymerase is targeted by rifampicin type of antibiotics. So these all are compounds which are in market, and there are many more. So these all are targeting different class of drug targets in bacteria. And these targets or these proteins, these are proteins, or like in case of ribosome, it is ribonucleoproteins. So these all are basically the components which are involved in disease causing etiology of that infectious disease, whichever particular disease we are talking. So then now I will give you a relevant example. Like coronavirus is means today's everybody is talking about that. So how we can design a drug against coronavirus? So for knowing that, the basic thing is we should know what are biological components of this coronavirus. So, and how they are arranged inside the structure of coronavirus, and how these are involved in the basically in the disease progression of this coronavirus disease, this COVID-19. Means everybody is today talking about it. Even media is making more funny things, and the politicians are also making funny statements. Like recently, one union minister, he said, you eat this bhabiji papad, and then basically you will get cured from the coronavirus. Then there was this Patanjali thing, means without, but in science we cannot make such claims without doing proper experiments and proper methodology we should follow. Like I showed this long and very labor intensive process of drug discovery. So we have to, so let's come back to the topic. So here, like in the coronavirus, we should know how it look like, what are the biological component, and then those biological components are more important, which are interacting with the host during the disease progression, and then the essential components of that microbe which stop its life cycle, and then those components are the best which do not have homologs in the human host. So with this, so like in the coronavirus, if we see, it is a typical RNA virus. So it has a RNA genome. It has a RNA genome, and which is coated by proteins, and then it is an enveloped virus. We call it, some viruses we call it enveloped viruses, and some we call it non-enveloped viruses, naked viruses. So enveloped viruses have outer covering of lipid, and in the case of coronaviruses, there is one spike protein. You can see this spike protein, green is something like blue green color, spike glycoprotein. And then there is, means uh, the component of the microbial pathogen which stays on the surface, that interacts first with the host cells. This is obvious, because that those things are on the surface, those things are on the outer part of that microbial pathogen, so that will interact first. So with this uh, spike glycoprotein, uh, basically host cell receptors interact. I will tell that later. So there are other proteins like E protein, membrane protein, M, and in the RNA genome, there is, the genome is covered with this capsid. We call the protein coat of the, so in all viruses there is one genetic material, and that genetic material is covered by protein, and that protein coat we call it capsid. And in enveloped viruses there is one lipid coat, then further second coat, that is lipid coat, lipid envelope. And same like here. So in the another picture you can see another type of cartoon where you can see the sky blue part, that is basically genetic material of the RNA virus, this coronavirus, SARS coronavirus 2. So then there is this, you can see Maggie noodle like yellow part, that is basically the capsid of that RNA, that coronavirus virus. And then there is this blue green outer covering, that is lipid envelope, and these protruding proteins which are found on the surface of this coronavirus. So then again, like I said, we have to know, we have all biological knowledge if we want to design a drug against some microbial pathogen. So we need how that microbial pathogen interact with the host cells. So like in the case of this coronavirus, this SARS coronavirus 2, the, like I said, this spike protein that interacts with the ACE2 receptor, which is found on many of the cells in host. So there are many cells which are reported in the various tissues of human body, like lungs, like kidney, like some epithelial cells. These all have this ACE2 receptor, and there is a one co-receptor also known, which is called as TMRSS2, that also help this coronavirus to internalize inside the host cell. and then there is unpackaging of the genetic material, and then RNA comes out. After uncoating of this genetic material, this RNA comes out. Then this RNA basically use host cell machinery, host cell ribosome, and then that translate that into proteins, many proteins, many viral proteins, using all host cell machinery. And this again this go through protein processing machinery of the host cell, like Golgi apparatus and endoplasmic reticulum. And in the last, the virus, which is so one virus enters the cell, it makes several copies of its all proteins, and these all proteins are processed and again in the end packaged and then release by budding off mechanism or by lysis. So if we try to see, and if we want to design a drug against this coronavirus, then basically we have two options. Either we focused on viral components or the human host components, as I reinforced before in previous slides. So if we look at the life cycle of this coronavirus, then basically there are four different areas in this in its life cycle where one can focus to find a drug against that. So either we should stop the fusion of virus to the host cell, that is the first step, and or we should stop its replication inside the host. So when the RNA comes out, basically it replicates also. It makes DNA, and then DNA again replicates, and then again it will make many copies. So either stop the replication of the genome, or the third area is disrupt the assembly of the new virion particles. So when the protein is processed and packaged, the viral particles are packaged, there we should we should design our molecule that this process is stopped, or we should stop the release of the new virions. So like you have seen. So these are the major areas where one should focus when one is thinking that how we can design a drug against this. So with this, let's come back to the core topic, and that is in silico inhibitor design. So in silico, we use several in silico tools in the drug discovery. So like we need some tools which can compare the sequences. So like we have a genome. Even we do not start testing any of our hypotheses experimentally before we can do a lot of in silico work, and that is we do basically. So comparison of sequences and identification of targets, like I already have spoken about how target is selected. There you need some tools which can compare, and which can compare the sequences and huge number of sequences. Like if we want to do a genome to genome comparison or proteome to proteome comparison, then we can use, there are in silico tools, and that's why in silico biology or bioinformatics is very important in this case. And then homology modeling tools, where we can model that biological component in using computational techniques. We model, we basically make a three-dimensional model, atomic models, where we can see how the functional sites or active sites of that biological component look like. Then there are system biology approaches, means it is same. Means to identify the target, we need to look at the complete set of genes, complete set of proteins, complete set of metabolites, complete set of transcripts it make, and add that, because transcript it does means transcriptome or proteome or metabolome. It is a dynamic thing, it is not constant. Means in some condition cells produce some other metabolites, in other conditions some other metabolites, same some other protein, set of protein, and then in another condition. Especially the useful thing is if we compare what kind of transcripts, means transcriptome, proteome and metabolome it forms when it is not infected, the host cell is not infected, and what changes happens when the infection occurs. So then if we just subtract one set of transcriptome or proteome or metabolome from another, we will immediately know what are disease specific transcriptome, proteome or metabolome is. We will immediately know, because let's say human cells are code something like 20,000 to 30,000 proteins. So it will be very difficult to identify which proteins or which transcripts are important for drug discovery, or which proteins are taking part in the disease progression. So by this kind of technique, by subtracting the disease condition and healthy condition from healthy condition, we can immediately know which are important ones. Similarly, in disease conditions, some molecules, some proteins, some transcripts and some metabolites expressed more if we compare. So that kind of analysis also we can do, like switch on, switch off, or level of transcript. Means if in healthy condition one molecule is transcribed in 10 copies, and in disease condition it is transcribed in 100 copies. So it is obvious that if it is expressing 90 more copies, those 90 copies will have some role in that disease, causing that disease. It may be responsible for that, or it may be used by body in attempt to basically cope up with the pathogen. So in both cases that is important, and then later on more biological experiments can be done, and the whole story can be revealed, that how the disease progression happens. So anyway, then in silico screening, like I said, that we try to screen when once we have identified the target, then we try to screen drug molecules, and in that case we need computational experiments to do in advance, because in wet lab experiments, basically we are not able to do screening of, let's say, 7 million compounds. Like one popular database is there that has 7 million drug-like compounds. So 7 million compounds you cannot do in wet lab experiment. You have to pursue computational experiment, and that will be quick. That will be like in few weeks you will reach to the conclusion that with a short list, like from 7 million you have to come to 1 dozen, and then only you can experimentally means in biological experiments you can test further in vitro, in vivo, then in animal models, and then basically drug trials. So later on we also do like pharmacogenomics studies which assist safety related issues, like I told like toxicity testing. So that also preliminary toxicity testing we can do in computational settings, and also we can do whether the drug molecule which we have shortlisted, that is that will be metabolized in the human body, or that will be biologically available in the human body, then only it will basically kill the pathogen. No? So that is also important. So in silico methods in this drug discovery which are used are like molecular docking, or virtual high throughput screening, or QSAR, quantitative structure activity relationship, or pharmacophore mapping or pharmacophore modeling, and fragment based screening is also there, that is means one step advanced. So how molecular docking works? So like I already said, we have to block that target, that drug target. So that biological component means that mostly these drug targets are proteins, or protein DNA complex, or protein RNA complex, or protein protein complex, or protein ligand complex. These are the drug target. So we need a compound which basically go and blocks that particular drug target. So like here in the cartoon you can see a where simple model where a protein is shown, which will be blocked by uh, one ligand, uh, which could be an inhibitor, and then it. So this is basically in simple schematic we can see how molecular docking works. So we need the structure of the protein for doing molecular docking. So structure means three-dimensional atomic structure of that protein. So that either could be determined experimentally by X-ray crystallography, or NMR, or cryo electron microscopy, or we do homology modeling. In computational experiment, we basically make a model which will look like that particular protein, or that particular protein DNA complex, or that particular DNA, or that particular RNA, or that particular protein RNA complex. These all are drug targets, could be a drug target. So this process is called docking. So many people who are aware of what is a dock. So DOCK, dock. Dock means uh, this on the seashores there are places formed where the ships come and they park the ship in the docks. So there are, if you go to any seashore or commercial, commercial sea shores like Mumbai, Chennai, or other uh, seashores where commercial ships and the other ships, traveling ships, come and stay. So that place is called dockyard or dock. So dock means where the ship goes and fit in. So same thing